And we are live. It's Saturday morning. It's Saturday morning. It's a bit dark in here this morning. But we're live. We're live. It's Saturday morning. I'm going to talk about the Celtic news and some of the questions that Brendan Rodgers was asked yesterday at the press conference. Let's just see who is online. And we'll get some comments and give me some comments just to see who is in the house. So that's finished. So obviously the big news yesterday was Brendan Rodgers was asked about players' contracts, and I think it's I'm going to be honest. My own personal opinion is some of the questions that I thought that were asked at yesterday's press conference were completely a waste of time. Tell me what your thoughts are on some of the questions that was asked. Then obviously the big one is Joe Hart was asked if he was going to extend his contract. Joe Hart then said that he has nothing to do with it. It's people above him. So obviously he just leaves it to his agent and he leaves it to the powers that be at Celtic, being Michael Nicholson. Michael Nicholson obviously does the contract talks, and it was interesting. It was interesting to get that from Joe Hart. He was asked that right at the end, and then Brendan Rodgers was also asked. Brendan Rodgers was asked about contract talks for, and as if he's going to tell people, oh yeah, what about there? These things, Celtic, the way that the Celtic do their business now is all kept in house, and then it's the way it should be. To be honest, I mean, I think for far too long, too much information has been leaked out of Celtic, and when it comes to contract talks, it's kind of a personal thing as well. I mean, although their wages get splattered all over the place and everyone knows what they earn, I mean, but how would you feel if somebody said, "Oh, how's the job talks going? Are you getting a pay rise?" Fuck is it to do with you? Piss off. And that's what I would have said. But, Brendan Rodgers just went, no, no, there's no update. And Celtic will only tell you once the player signs a contract. So thinking anything other than that was a bit of a one of the funny things, and one of the things that makes you laugh and miss about Scotland is obviously the trip up to Dingwall. And in no other league, and I'm going to have a rant here, in no other league are you questioned about the distance between teams. And that's like, I mean, an even further distance is Liverpool to Newcastle. Now, all the team, London to Newcastle. I mean, all the teams that play down that are based in London don't moan about the fact that they have to go up to Newcastle. It's part of the game. Barcelona don't moan about the fact that they have to go to Celta Vigo, which is about, it's about a 2 hour, that's probably about an hour and a half's flight for them. And anyway, but in Scotland, it's a big thing because we've got to go up to Ross County. Brendan Rodgers did say that he likes the trip up to Ross County. He likes it because they were doing it in daylight, and he found it. If he says the downside of the trip up is that we don't get to stop at the House of Brewer, which I thought was fantastically funny because you get the bus up. I mean, that's one of the places that our bus usually stopped, and I was at the House of Brewer on the way up to Dingwall, even up to Inverness when Inverness were in the league. So yeah, that was the Celtic news this morning, and obviously the big ones is there's no updates on players' contract talks, which Brendan isn't going to tell you if there was. They'll tell you they'll make an announcement when the deal is done. They didn't come out and tell you, oh, by the way, we're in talks with Callum McGregor and we're going to give him a wage rise. Just, I think, I think it's disappointing. And then there was another question. I'm going to have a right moan this morning. There was another question asked at the press conference yesterday, asking Brendan Rodgers what he thought about the penalty that people are moaning about online against from the midweek game, and about the booking that Kyogo got. We can't change what happened. We can't change what happened, and I think that, do you know what? It's okay, fans having an opinion about it and talking about it, and we're all allowed our opinion. Because somebody pulled me up about that on the YouTube channel. Is it a requirement to have a season ticket to have an opinion? And I said no. I'm what I'm trying to do is create engagement on the channel and create engagement and find out the mood of people that actually go to games compared to the mood to people that don't have season tickets, and be quite a sort of a big difference. But Brendan Rodgers being asked about the fact is, what did he feel about the penalty that wasn't given when Kyogo was manhandled at the end of the box? And Brendan Rodgers, rightly so, said move on. It's in the past. We can't, move on. That was the last game. We've moved on for that game. The players have moved on for that game. The team has moved on for that game. It's all about the next. As soon as they've come off the pitch, they can moan about things at the time and saying, "Oh, that was hard done by us." But they go into training the next day. They'll maybe watch the video back and they'll talk about how they could have done things better positional wise and tactically, but they're not going to keep on moaning about a penalty that wasn't given or Kyogo getting booked. People need to up the game. They're given this opportunity to ask Brendan Rodgers questions, and people really need to up their game. That is just my opinion. And we're all allowed our opinion on this channel because it is called the One Celtic Fans View. And on that note, what a what a little transfer that was. And we're going to get your opinions and we're going to jump to the comment section. Say good morning to everyone that has joined us this morning. Jeremy McQuaid is first up. He said good morning. And Danny says hail, hail. Morning, Baz for Jim. And then Thomas says, good morning. Morning, Baz from the southeast of London. Dom, when you travel from London to Newcastle, know that you would, because nobody wants to go to Newcastle. Do you moan about the distance? Morning from the sunny Highlands. Are you going to the game, Spacey? What do you think the score will be? Helen says, I'll get that one up. Good morning from the Highlands. Helen is in the house. Morning to you, Helen. Going to the hoops today. Yeah, it's game. Honest opinion. So James for Taylor. Yeah, a game. I'm more creative in my bedroom. Kinky. Yeah, Alan. Oh, there you go. That's maybe on the wrong channel to do admissions like that. It's not Pornhub that we're on. Just thought I'd say that. Anyway, Jim Dolan says good morning, and Baz looking for a good result today. I think it's always a hard game. We'll talk about the game in a minute once we've jumped through the comments. Roll on the January transfer window, says Big Dom. Why, Big Dom? And what do you think that we need to bring in to make the team better? Remember that we brought in 9 players, that we didn't really need 9 players. We've got a bloated squad. Is it the fact that we're going to release some players? It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting window. I think there's going to be more outgoings than there will be incoming. That's for definite. People need to go out and get game time. But we'll talk about the transfer window when it comes. David Casey says, hi from Cardross, looking for a strong performance today. We have looked kind of shaky for a while. Is it that we've looked shaky, or have we just had a little bit of a European hangover? And it goes back to the tactics of the game and how the way that teams set up. So good morning from Tenerife. I hope it's warm with you this morning. It's cold at nights here. Richard, I don't know what it's like at Tenerife at nights just now, but it gets really cold here at nights just now. But then can't moan because it is going to be around about 25 degrees today. So we love that. Stephen says, hi Baz, my man. Hi you, Stephen. Big O. Big O will be given more game time today. If he deserves to start. He was asked about Brendan Rodgers was asked about getting more game time and asked about maybe changing formations. And Brendan says, like he says, the way that we kind of play is a 4-3-3, and there'll be opportunities for O to come on and play as part as a play up front with Kyogo, but it doesn't mean we're going to change formation to So yeah, it was an interesting one, but he will get more game time. That's for definite. Hey, well, guys, I'm guessing deleting. Craig, I never seen your message there. I'll get back to you in a second. Spacey says, Bas Rocher CSC do that journey every home game. Exactly. This is the thing. You've got. Is that the one that comes from Inverness? Is that the one that Big Donald runs? He runs the bus from Inverness, and these guys do it every single week. And Celtic, and there's the Liverpool bus, the 313 bus, the Coventry lads. These guys make this massive journey up to Celtic Park, and even for away games, and then there's the boys that come over from Dublin and the boys that come over from Belfast and Derry and things like that. I mean, they make massive journeys every week. And I just think it's absolutely mind-boggling that the media think it's a big thing that where you've got to travel up to Ross County. It's the narrative of Scottish football that it all has to be based around the central belt. And it's really off-putting just now. I'm getting a bit fed up of Scottish football, the way that the everything about it is just so negative at the moment, and something needs to change. Anyway, Craig, he says, "Hey, guys, I'm guessing my YouTube deleted my message. What did you say for YouTube deleted, Craig? Because I never deleted it. I meant TV. cracking channel name that. Do you get a lot of views with that? I know the type of channel that you've probably got. Hail, hail from Kazakhstan. And I think Hart is excellent influence in the dressing room. Kazakhstan, hats off to you in Kazakhstan. What is the situation over in Kazakhstan just now? If you want to take that, by the way, I'm going to star your one because that is an absolute cracker one. Kazakhstan. Celtic fans are completely everywhere. Who would have thought that you'd get a Celtic fan in Kazakhstan? That's that's just amazing. I've starred that one so I could bring that comment back up. Mark Brown says here, and I'm going to finish reading. Sorry, I apologise. If he's wanting to take a back seat and a new first choice keeper, it would be an asset. I think that's what we're kind of hoping for, and it is. I mean, there's still this niggling thing that Joe Hart wants to go to America for the last year, but it all depends on the money situation. Joe Hart can go to America for the last year or two of his playing career, and he'll probably make more money then than he would have the whole time that he was down south. So it just depends. I'm not overly worried if Joe Hart signs a new contract or not, because we all knew that we were needing a new goalkeeper last season. If he signs a new contract, it's going to be brilliant because he'll help a new, younger keeper. We're going to have to make two goalkeepers. If Joe Hart goes, we're going to have to bring in two goalkeepers anyway. Benji Siegrist is going to be nowhere near the first team, and I don't ever think he's going to play for Celtic, which is absolutely just weird. Mark Brown says, "Hail, hail." So that's good morning from London. There's quite a few folk from London watch the channel. That's brilliant. Paul, you're always a commentator. Thanks for your comment. Morning, Baz. Morning, Baz from Cyprus. We're in Cyprus as well today. Ah, it's brilliant. You're on holiday, George, or where are you watching the game in Cyprus? JTB boy, morning, troops. Morning, Baz. Me, never, Big Dom. Ads, Cybo, Ireland, Big Joe. Good for that. Bill, fullbacks, and a number 10 as soon as possible in the winter transfer. Fullbacks, do you want rid of Alistair Johnston? Don't you think that Alistair Johnston's good enough for Celtic? Do you think that Alistair Johnston's the player that Celtic might move on? That's an interesting one when you talk fullbacks. So you're obviously thinking that maybe Alistair Johnston. Number 10. Atletico lost 2-1 to Las Palmas, did they? Last night? I never looked. I was out last night, so yeah, it was an unscheduled night out. They're usually the best. Still hot at night. Yeah, Richard. It's still hot at night there. That's interesting. But then that is down. You're down in Tenerife, so it is a bit warmer. My dad was in Tenerife for 15 years, so yeah, it's a bit better than here. Hamish says, "Morning, buddy mate. On the hoops, working in Dundee. It's Dundee. Up to Lochee. Get up to Lochee and watch the game up in Lochee. There's a brilliant bus that leaves for Lochee. Craig, there you go. There you get a comment. We're wondering about the game. Some people wondering about staying alive. Yeah, this is true. And that's not just in that part of the world, mate. I mean, there is conflicts going on all over the world. And there's people worried about, if they'll wake up tonight, if they'll get to sleep tonight and they'll wake up tomorrow morning. Anyway, every game is an away game for me, just from Edinburgh. What bus do you go on? Do you leave on the Leaf bus? The Leaf bus that goes. That's a cracking bus as well. Big Dom says we need a bit more quality in the left back position. Would clear out players that are never going to get first team place. Big Dom, is that the kind of players that have been loaned out by Celtic? Because there is a lot of players that, when you look at the squad rotation, Big Joe Hart spoke about it. Big Joe Hart says that, look, it was maybe about 6 years ago that you had a settled back line in football. Big clubs and big teams have a squad rotation thing now. And even Joe Hart said it. He said, look, when you have the amount of games that we play, it's not unusual for footballers these days to sort of get brought in. And the players that come in, everyone knows the system. It's not about the team, it's about the system that the team plays. It's not about the individual players. It's where years gone by, you can go back to the early 2000s under Martin O'Neill. You could probably pick his team every week. It never changed much every week. You had that settled team. Talking about that, was that the cause that when we never won in Seville and we never won anything that season? Was that the effect? If we had done more squad rotation in those days, could we have won in Seville and won a lot more than we did that season. But then that's a talk for another day. Baz, lads from Dublin get the bus at 3 a.m. Yep, I know that. And bus at 3 Saturday and get back at 1 a.m. on Sunday. Legend. I know that. I know that. And I know some of the guys that run that bus. Yep. Mo says, hi from South Korea. Mo, we are completely around the world this morning. Invergordon. Invergordon's there's still a big species up in Invergordon. The bus starts from Invergordon. Jesus. Wow, that's a journey and a half, isn't it? Richard's Smith says it could be worse being in Tenerife where you got to fly away games. Yes, this is true. This is true, Richard. Do you know Big Simi then? Simi Dara. It's a conversation offline. Big Dom Celtic. London, you'd be surprised how they get down here. Yep, how big they are down here. That's interesting. Surprised how big Celtic are in London. But obviously, is that with the Irish supporters? Is that with the expats, the Scottish expats that are in London? Salmon's boy says, if it doesn't rain, give Bernardo a go. Otherwise, what's the point? An interesting one. When are you going to go with Bernardo today, or are you going to go with Owen? Big Odin the Warrior. It's going to be an interesting one to see what happens. Either way, I think Bernardo will start in Spain. So don't be surprised if Bernardo isn't starting today and he's kept for Spain to get the first 60 minutes in Spain on Tuesday. Alan says, do we have any decent penalty takers? Brendan Rodgers was asked about the penalty taking situation. He was asked about the fact that is it a worry, is it a concern not scoring penalties? And Brendan Rodgers said, yes, simple. He said, it's something we work on in training. He was also asked the question, should Kyogo take the penalties? Brendan Rodgers was asked. And he said, when we look at the stats, sometimes your striker isn't the best penalty taker. We look at the penalties that they've taken over a length of time, and we look at their complete stats, and then you find out statistically who is the best penalty taker, and that's it says it is a disappointment that they're not scoring penalties, that they hit the post twice, but it's something that they work on in training. It's something that they need to work on again, and it's something that they will continue to work on. And there's a lot of Kaizen talk. Kaizen's about continuous improvement, and Brendan seems to be instilling that. And he is impressed the way that and he said it about as well. He said, look, is only 22 years old. He's came from a foreign country, doesn't speak a lot of English. Brendan said, look, I had a chat with him through the translator, make sure that everything's okay with him, and just get into the mindset and make sure that the player is nice and comfortable. And he said it's hard. It's hard going to a different country and having to participate in a work scenario where you're out there in the limelight in front of 60,000 people. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, it's like me going to Spain and then having to do this, sitting in front of everyone in the Bernabeu, for instance, and speaks in Spanish. That would be a complete and utter laugh because I'd get slated for some of my pronunciations in Spanish. Can't speak English, never mind Spanish. Patrick Toner, he says, hail, boys and girls from Belfast. Dublin. People from Dublin, a lot of Dubliners in the house this morning. What team will Brendan out today? We'll get to that in a second. We need a striker. We need a big striker. Said Richard. Morning, Baz. I'm going to go through the others. Go for a comfortable win today. I don't think it's going to be comfortable. Can't handle these nerve-wracking games. I don't think it will be comfortable. Atletico lost 2-1. Were Atletico at home out of interest? I'll be honest, I never even looked at any football results last night, just especially the Spanish stuff, because I wasn't even in a Spanish pub, which was weird. Atletico, Craig Miller bus. It's been going. The Craig Miller bus. I know that bus as well. Yeah, that's a cracking little bus. Yes, it's a nice little pub that leaves from as well. 4-1 the Hoops. It's Spacey. Porto. I'm going to jump through these. Big Tam Living. See, hope you're well, mate. Yes, I am. The Irish Centre in London. One in Baz 2-0 today. The situation has a lot of options to watch in the pubs. Wow, that's cracking in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan. Ambient TV is in Kazakhstan. The situation is good. Lots of options to watch Celtic in the pubs. Bumping a lot of other fans too, looking for a good roasted 4-1. That's I'm loving that. I'm loving that. There's lots of Celtic fans in Kazakhstan. You'll never get that information on any other Celtic channel. Sorry. No apologies about it. We Celtic fans are all around the world. and I like the fact that they'll jump on here. JJ, good morning to you. This morning, there's something like 32 players. Brendan Rodgers cutting heavily in January, thankfully, at least 6, including Kobayashi, two or three experienced ones. Uh, the experienced players in the door, well needed. JJ, I understand what you're saying, but it's going to be the case. I don't think that. I mean, I think Brendan Rodgers is like, yeah, we need the likes of Turnbull to for the Scottish contingent, but it's not going to be a big issue for me if Turnbull and it's going to be harder. The hardest one is if Joe Hart can't his team can't agree a deal with Celtic. But there will be players come to the end of their contract, and I think that's the way that it's a big hit if we let Turnbull go for nothing. It's a big hit. We spent over 3 million on the player, and we came in 2020. He had a fantastic season, the first season when everyone else was absolutely rubbish, and he managed the first half of the season under Ange Postecoglou. It's a big hit for Celtic. You know, we are sitting with money in the bank, but the way that Celtic run as a club, letting players like him go for nothing, um, it could be a case of we take that on the chin. Maybe that's why the Celtic are keeping this kind of money in the bank. KP Strange says St. Patrick's Shots Celtic Supporters Club has been going to 1946, the fourth oldest in Scotland. Hat off to you. Patrick Shots, Celtic Supporters, Kobayashi, Gucci, won the J League. You're joking. Gucci won the J. He's never going to come back to Celtic, surely, Reese. You're a fantastic commenter on the channel. Do you think he'll ever come back to Celtic? He never really got his chance. Then obviously the players that came in. I mean, he's another player that's in the squad. Talking about buses, Thomas Stevens says he used to get on the Craig Miller bus back in the 80s, but he could talk about games back then. Um, Team Medley on and Red. Helen, did an interview after St Mirren game. His English was good. Yeah, I think his English was good when it's that. But when you're talking about a personal level, I think that's why Brendan done it through the translator just to get in, make sure that nothing is kind of lost in translation, and so that the player himself can talk about more freely about his personal feelings and that. You're not going to go right on a right personal level. Um, Speaking in the English. He's got Reece Bell's going for 3-0. Goalkeeper, left back, and striker in January. That's what we needed at the last transfer window, Craig, and we never did it. We never brought these ones in. We brought in a lot of prospects. But yeah, it's still the case that we do need that. There's pressure on the wage cut. No, there's not. No, there's not. There's no. How can there be pressure to cut the wage? We sit with 72 million cash in the bank. Now that's not talking about any other money that comes in over the course of this season. So there's no pressure. Stop listening to the media and stop listening to the zombies. There is absolutely no pressure. Have you been to bed, Baz? Yes, I have. Yeah, agree with you. Um, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. He is 24-year-old. He's still got a little bit of improvement, but it's going to be the case whether one, he thinks he gets enough game time. Two, he wants to say it's true. I prefer the likes of Mikey Johnson, Bain, and Turnbull to go. But the Champions League rules. Yeah, I mean those three players. I mean, go back to the videos that I did towards the end of the last season. I was certain 100% thought that Bain was going to leave the club. He was out of contract. He hadn't played, and it just made sense to me. But then we didn't really think about these new things coming in from you with the Scottish contingent. That's why Bain got kept. Sandwich Boy, he is up next. Sometimes you've got to cut off a bit to grow, regardless of the huge squad. Yeah, and I can understand that. Craig's back and says, I think we're overdue a big win. I'm going to say 4-0. We had a big win a couple of weeks ago against Hearts. 50s Craig Miller bus. Jeez. And Craig, I hope you're all right. We'll get back to the best. So, I think, well, Rodgers would have kept the big Greek, got a tune out of him. It's okay saying that he would have kept him, but the player wanted. We need to move on. It's like Brendan Rodgers says when he was asked about penalty incidents and asked about bookings. It's past. Let's move on from it. We can't change it. There's nothing we can do about it. So there's no use, and it's no disrespect, Alan. I mean, we've all got our opinions, but it's move on, move on. He didn't want to stay at Celtic when he wasn't getting enough game time. And you've got to remember back, he was putting up on his Instagram, he was putting up timers on his stories. You know, timers walking about saying, "I'm not getting any time." He was putting up cryptic messages that he wasn't happy. He came out in public and basically said online that if I'm not wanted, move me on. You know, if you don't feel I'm good enough, move me on. If you're not going to play me, move me on. So talking about the fact that he is only out on loan. Remember that he can. No, he's not. He's been sold. I'm thinking about the other one, Haxabana crap. But no, he wanted to move on. So let's forget about it. That's like saying we could have kept any player. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's move on. Hazel, good morning to you, Hazel. Brendan has a tricky time coming. We need to trim the squad while improving the subs bench. We need subs on the bench to be strong, get us through the season. Do you think that the bench isn't as strong as what it could be, Hazel? I'm just thinking of different ways it come to your question. It is the fact that when you look at the bench, statistically, Brendan Rodgers sees experience. When he sees the likes of Turnbull, when he sees the likes of James Forrest and that on the bench, he sees years worth of experience, and that sometimes can play more in a manager's mind than has this player that's only come into the team this season, can he handle the pressure at this game, at this level, when we're going into the last 20 minutes of a game? He's still got the new players that came in, they've still to sort of Brendan really needs to get right into the psyche of them, and I think that's why he goes with these trusted feelings about players that have that little bit more experience. I can understand where you're coming from. We do need a stronger bench to see us through the season, but we've got quite a big squad, and I think the squad that we've got could win us the league all day long. Hello from war-torn North Lanarkshire. Yes, it probably is war-torn North Lanarkshire. I think the divisiveness in Scotland I'm so glad I'm not because it's just such a divisive place at the moment, and from everything, from politics to football to the news, everything. Anyway, I hope you're good, Paul. Hope you're good. Reese Bell said, depending on Ideguchi became a striker, he might get his chance under Rodgers. He performed incredibly well. Yeah, they want to sign on a permanent deal. Well, I think that's probably a deal that might happen, Reese, purely for the fact that Celtic will want to trim the squad. Celtic need to ramp up the gears, said Solo Biscuits. An interesting chat. I'd like to check that one out. Blas gives us some Spanish words. Hasta luego. Yes. Celtic need to keep the players and sell off. Do you think so? I'm not still sure about that, James. Who do we sell off? Who do we sell off? Just joined, and good folk are still on it. Yes, Ross. Yeah, yeah, folk are still on, but and like Brendan Rodgers said when he was asked the penalty decision, let's get over it, move on. That's coming up for a year that he's been gone. I mean, he went last January, for goodness sake. So let's let go lost. Yes, they did that. Were they at home or away? 3 points today is a must to get 8 in front of Sevco. I'm going for 3-0. Right, give me your score predictions and give me your score predictions in the comments section. Give me your score predictions in the comments section. Totally agree, Baz. We always look forward. Yeah, that's the way it is. We always look on the bright side of life. I loved it when we used to sing that at games back in the 90s. We always look on the bright side of life. We do, we do, we do, we do. Anyway, that was way before the Green Brigade invented. Even before the Green Brigade were probably the anyway. Moving on. Hail Baz, Celtic fans feeling really confident for the game. I think we'll bring up the gear and preparations for next week's Champions League game. I think I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one, and I think people are expecting us that we're going to go out and we're all guns firing. I think there's going to be changes to the squad, and there's going to be changes in the second half of the game, and people are going to go, "Why is he making these changes?" We've got a flight Monday morning, to go out to Madrid. So, it's like the manager will use a bit of squad rotation today. Does Borat, of course, Borat supports Celtic. Of course he does. Everyone does in Kazakhstan. Ishk mishk. That's the no disrespect to anyone from Kazakhstan. We need no, we don't. Jeez, 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 jeez. Can we do the job? Yes. Yes, all can do the job. We need a left back and a goalie and a striker. Definitely. Reese is going for 3 now. Big Dom. O can hold the ball up. Something he does fine. Hazel is going for 4-1. Gareth is going for 3-1. See we start O. See we start O the day. Never give him game time. Plus, utilise the squad. He's more than capable. I think that's an interesting one, but I think Brendan Rodgers will go with the tried and trusted, and then bring on later in the game. Where they originate from? I'm a Fifer, mate. I'm from just about 10 miles along the road from where Scott Brown grew up, and I know the park that Scott Brown used to play football on as a kid, with the big grass at the back of his house. So yeah, not far from where Scott Brown grew up, and then Scott Brown currently stays just over the other side of the water from where he grew up. Tam Mack, hail hail everyone. Alan is going for 2-0. GT Boy is going for 3-1 Celtic. Um, James, those players were sold for fantastic amounts of money. Do you think that we're going to get anywhere near that for the likes of Hart, Turnbull, and Forrest, Mikey Johnson, and Ralston? Um, we need to stop looking back. Stop looking back. That's all I'm going to say. We need 4 players in January: goalkeeper, left back, right back. Why do we need a right back? Why do we need someone to come in with Alistair Johnson? Alistair Johnson is a fantastic player with a high pedigree. People are wanting him out the door already. Strange things. 2-0 Ross is saying, Mark Brown is going for 3-0. I think we'll boss it today, says Mark. That's going to be a hard game. Malcolm Mackay does have that team really set up really good. Jerry says, home team, they'll park the bus, but we'll go for 3-0. It is always a hard game up there, and they do give us a go up there. They don't really park the bus all the time, they do go for it. Um, Historically, up at Dingwall, they always give us a good game. I've been to many games up in Dingwall. I loved that trip up there. Get a pint in the train station, just down for the stadium, and fantastic banter in there, and then just walks 5 minutes up to the ground. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Are you on it already? So, Alan Stevenson says, Taylor is a headless chicken these last few games. Hi. Hello Beef. Yes. Yes, he's from the Hello Beef. I'm from just along the road from there. Bruni is from the Hello Beef. Fantastic little village, little ex-mining village. Brilliant part of the country. Kirky lads in the house. James, I know, buddy. That's yeah, it is the point, James. It's not the fact that we keep these players; it's the fact that they've not improved enough to. I mean, has there ever been an offer come in for James Forrest over his entire time at Celtic? And James Forrest has been a fantastic player over the years. Let's not disrespect the players and what James has achieved. James Forrest is he's going to be one of the second most decorative players in Celtic. He's going to be one of the second most successful players trophy wise at Celtic. And Callum McGregor is going to be right up there in front of him. When you look at the length, it's a funny thing. Do you think if social media was around in the days of Paul McStay, Peter Grant, and players like that, do you think that Paul McStay had an off game? Do you think that people? I was a bit young to probably remember people moaning about football players. I don't think it happened as much. When you had a bad game, you sort of just, "Oh, that was crap." I don't think we analysed the players as much, and criticism wasn't there as much. I might be wrong. Maybe there's some of the older ones that was a bit older than me during the 80s could talk about that. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just trying to create more comments within the channel about it. I mean, we do give players that have been at the club and Scottish-born players specifically, we give them a lot of abuse. I mean, do you think that happened back in the day? That's just a question, James. Just a question I'm putting out there. JJ, he says, "I Baz is Scotland in disguise, like Clark Kent." No, you see that Bruni's back in training, and it must be hard. because he was actually he had to go out and run the streets. He spent his whole career keeping fit on a training ground, and he was out running the streets to get his fitness levels back up, and he went out running in white trainers, and he put on his Instagram, "Stupid mistake going out running in Scotland in white trainers." Yep, brilliant. I hope that, it'll be interesting to see if he actually pulls the shirt on again, because there's, talk about that he might. Would Palmer benefit from a 3-5-2? Reece, I think he would. I definitely think he would, but the manager's not gonna go to a 3-5-2, I'm afraid. He's gonna stick to his tried and trusted, because the back the back four, he plays the 4-3-3. The back four, you've got your two wing backs can move up into the midfield to give you that five. And so you've got a sort of 2-5-3 kind of formation. Anyway, Alistair Johnson has dropped off quite a bit recently. Um, bring on the bricky. Bring on the bricky. Helen says it's going to be a tough 2-0. Helen, some sanity on the channel. I think the players, a statement has to be made. Yep. Sean, ahead of Paddy's point, no, I don't think so, because I might just go to Hoops Bar and Guardamar today, because we've got a lot of stuff to do this weekend before we head up to Madrid on Monday, and then I've got an airport run to do tomorrow, and it's a crazy time. Just I'm probably not, because I'll just take. Look, I've got too much to do, to be honest. Yeah, that's the answer to that question. Unfortunately, Sean. Carmack, Matt O'Reilly, Kyogo could do with a rest for Tuesday. In such an important away game, Martin, I can understand where you're coming from. I think they will be brought off in around about the 75th minute if the game is going to the way that Celtic want, and we're winning. If not, they'll play. It's as simple as that. We need them. So there's your answer. That one, James. I don't think James is going anywhere. Do you? No, I don't. James Forrest will not leave Celtic. He signed that extended contract, and he'll be there. He'll be there till he hangs up his boots. Aaron Ednap wanted James Forrest. Well, there you go, Samuel. I can't remember that one, but there you go. More medals than McGregor. Yeah, he has. He's older than McGregor as well, so he's got more medals than McGregor. Hats off to James Brown. Give James Brown some appreciation. I mean, he's statistically still the fastest guy in the squad. Matt Brown, I think Mikey Johnson gets an unfair whip from the Celtic fans because he's Scottish slash Irish. I mean, that's what he does. Hampton Baz, 5 a day. Not a lot. Oh, this morning I'm going getting ready to go and watch the game. Alistair Johnson still getting up to speed after his injury, brought back too soon. Question mark. That's an interesting one. 4-0. Says Pamagoon. Bruni will be fine. Bruni will be fine. Of course he will. And then Forrest has been for goals. Yes, exactly. Exactly. He connects with those. This is what, when you look at James's statistics in goal scoring, if he put the two goals in, nobody would be complaining about James. If he hits, the two that hits the woodwork, if he puts them in, it's a whole different conversation. Martin says we're going to win 3-1. Uh, Ian's having a big admission this morning, and a big admission he's having this morning live in front of us. Well done, Ian. Well done. We're glad that it makes a difference to you. Still looking forward to seeing more of Yang. He looks as if he's going to get up to speed in his game time. Yeah, so a lot of the players do. Stephen is going for 4-0. 3-5-2 with O and Kyogo up front. I would love to see that, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Forrest is now cashing in the retirement funds. No, he's not. He's made that much money off his Celtic over the years that he doesn't need to worry about his retirement, that's for sure. And I hope he's invested it wisely, because too many football players have a career where they spend their money unwisely, and it gets to when they hang up their boots in their playing days, they're used to a level of income. I mean, could you imagine going from, say, 15 grand a week or whatever to then not having 15 grand a week coming into your bank? It's different levels of perspective, this, and you can understand why it affects so many football players, and then they start maybe making wrong choices. Wrong choices. It's not because he's Scottish, Baz. He's crap. There's Forrest wants to be a one club man, finishes at Celtic. Yes, he does, and I'm hats off to him, and he should be completely respected for that. James Forrest has been at Celtic since 2003. Yes, he has, and then he was in the early teams, and Martin O'Neill in the early squads with Martin O'Neill. When you think about that, my goodness, that's how long he's been at Celtic. Um, That's fantastic, and it shows you how old we're all getting. As Michael Keller says, "He's all the help he can get. Cars and women, the root of all evil." It's the root of all evil. Big day, Stuart Ramsey today was, the Fire Sticks Fairy is coming to see him. Is that why Stuart's not on the channel? He's too busy trying to get his Fire Sticks sorted. He's not even been on to make a prediction today. Right, I'm going to call it quits for today. We've been on for 40 minutes. More than enough time to get ready for the game. A big shout out to Ambient TV who was watching it. There were people from all around the world watching today. There was Cyprus, Dublin, places like that, and down in London. A lot of people down in London. But a big shout today has to go out to Ambient TV YouTube channel watching from Kazakhstan. Absolutely fantastic that Celtic fans watch this video, watch this channel, and I totally love it. You know, and being online and being doing these videos, right? I can sometimes you're always going to get haters and negativity, but see when you see people coming on from places like Kazakhstan to watch the channel, it's a little bit heartwarming. It is. It really is heartwarming. Um, you're getting the last comment. Stuart Ramsey's getting his fire stick today. Forrest. Is the past bad says big dominate, look forward. And the last one says, I think we're in for a tough game today. I've got to be patient with 2-0 win. That is, I hope we do win. There will be a video just after the game today. It might even come live from the Hoops Bar. I don't know yet. And thanks for watching the videos. Philippines, oh, come on. The sun has, oh, Jesus. The Philippines. The sun has just went down here in the Philippines. Says Jerry Da. Right. This is brilliant. The Philippines is now watching. Right. Jerry Da, you get the last one. Co-host for Johnson Baz. It's been absolutely wonderful. There will be a video up right after the game today. Have a fantastic day wherever you are watching the game around the world. I didn't go into the Celtic news in depth that I wanted to, but it's been a fantastic morning. Hail, hail, and I'll catch you on the